The sky above Earth was an oppressive canvas of dark clouds and alien warships, their sleek forms casting ominous shadows over the battlefield. Alex Hunter, crouched atop a crumbling parapet, peered through the scope of their rifle. The distant hum of the enemy fleet grew louder, a relentless reminder of the threat pressing in. "Hunter, do you copy?" Lieutenant Sarah Collins's voice crackled through the comms, urgent and clipped. "Loud and clear," Alex responded, eyes still trained on the advancing alien troops. "I've just neutralized a squad, but they're pushing hard. We need that anti-invasion device online now." Sarah's figure appeared in the control room's shattered window, her face illuminated by the flashing alarms inside. "Grant's almost finished, but with these reinforcements, his time is running out." In the base's heart, Dr. Elijah Grant's fingers danced over the control panel, sweat pouring down his temples. The anti-invasion device's core pulsed erratically. "I'm almost there," he shouted, frustration evident in his voice. "But if we don't get more support, this thing won't stabilize." Alex adjusted their position, taking out another alien soldier with precision. The ground trembled as an alien mech stomped forward, its metal feet crushing the debris. Alex's rifle spoke again, sending the mech's pilot sprawling with a single, well-placed shot. The mech collapsed, its systems emitting a final, dying whine. "We're losing ground." Sarah's voice was strained. "The outer perimeter is collapsing. I need you to cover Dr. Grant until the device is ready." Alex's gaze shifted to the base entrance, now a chaotic battleground. The once reliable fortifications were giving way under the relentless assault. Alex's heart raced as they fired from their vantage point, each shot a desperate bid to buy more time. An explosion shook the base, debris raining down. The breach was unmistakable. "Sarah, we've got a breach! They're inside!" "Damn it!" Sarah cursed under her breath. "Hold them off as long as you can. Grant's device must be operational." The air was thick with the acrid stench of burning fuel and the sharp tang of ozone. Alex's senses were on edge, the blaring alarms, the distant cries of soldiers, and the ever-present threat of alien forces. Every shot fired was a calculated risk, a means to keep the encroaching enemy at bay. A new wave of alien attackers surged forward, their grotesque forms illuminated by the flashes of battle. Alex's rifle roared in defiance, maintaining a narrow corridor of safety for the beleaguered scientists. The base's defenders fought with grim determination, their every move a testament to human resilience. Through the swirling smoke and fire, Alex caught a glimpse of Sarah's silhouette making her way to the control room, her posture resolute despite the chaos. Their eyes met briefly, a silent understanding passing between them. Survival was at stake, and every moment counted. As the chapter drew to a close, the tension was palpable. The battle raged on, the anti-invasion device's activation the last hope for humanity's survival. Alex's resolve was unshaken, the fate of the base and the future of Earth hanging in the balance. The base's control room, a labyrinth of flickering consoles and frantic activity, was a chaotic symphony of clashing alarms and hurried voices. Dr. Elijah Grant's fingers flew over the console, a fine sheen of sweat covering his face as he struggled to stabilize the anti-invasion device's energy core. The pulsing device's light was dimming, an ominous sign of its imminent failure. "Grant, how's it coming?" Sarah Collins's voice cut through the cacophony, strained but hopeful as she hurried toward him. "Almost there," Elijah replied, his voice edged with frustration. "But with the breach in the perimeter, we're fighting a losing battle." Sarah's eyes darted to the base's entrance, where soldiers scrambled to hold back the encroaching alien forces. The outer defenses were a shambles, overrun by a relentless wave of extraterrestrial invaders. "We need more time," she said, gripping the edge of the console. "Hunter's doing everything they can up there, but it's only a matter of time before the base falls." Meanwhile, Alex Hunter maintained their position atop the parapet, the once sturdy defenses now a chaotic mess of shattered debris and glowing alien weaponry. The relentless barrage of enemy fire was unyielding, and every shot Alex took felt like a temporary reprieve rather than a solution. The acrid smell of burning fuel mixed with the distinct scent of ozone, creating a disorienting atmosphere. Hunter, we're losing power in the perimeter. Sarah's voice crackled through the calms. The aliens are breaching our defenses faster than we can patch them. We need to hold them off for just a little longer. Alex's rifle spoke again, a rhythmic sequence of precise shots that cut through the alien ranks. The battle was a frenzy of movement and noise, with Alex's every breath accompanied by the steady thump of their heartbeat. The base's defenders fought valiantly, their determination a stark contrast to the encroaching alien menace. Suddenly, a heavy blast rocked the parapet. Alex stumbled, their heart racing as the ground shook beneath them. An alien juggernaut, a hulking machine of metal and fire, had appeared, its weapons systems blazing a path of destruction. The mech's presence was a new and terrifying threat, and Alex's shots were ineffective against its heavily armored hull. "Sarah, we've got a juggernaut!" Alex shouted, the words barely audible over the roar of battle. "I can't hold this position much longer. We're almost there, Hunter." Sarah's voice was determined, though tinged with desperation. "Just keep it together for a bit longer. Grant needs more time to stabilize the device." Elijah's face was a mask of concentration as he fought to stabilize the core. "I'm nearly there, but the power fluctuations are making it difficult. I need—" A new explosion interrupted him, this one closer, shaking the control room. The base's lights flickered, and the alarms blared louder. "We're almost out of time," Elijah shouted over the din. "I need more support." The alien juggernaut's weapons hammered the base's defenses, each shot a reminder of how precariously close they were to defeat. Alex fought back with everything they had, the rifle's recoil a constant reminder of the battle's intensity. The base's defenders were dwindling, their lines faltering under the relentless assault. Sarah's eyes met Alex's through the smoke and chaos. "Hunter, I need you to fall back. We can't lose you now." "Understood," Alex replied, reluctantly retreating from their position. The battle was far from over, but the fight had to continue. With one last, determined glance at the control room, Alex sprinted toward the base's heart. As Alex approached, the base's lights dimmed, casting eerie shadows across the control room. The air was thick with tension, and the sound of distant explosions was a constant reminder of the ongoing conflict. Sarah, standing beside Elijah, was a picture of grim resolve, her eyes scanning the monitors for any sign of hope. The chapter closes with a sense of impending doom. The base's fate hangs in the balance, the anti-invasion device's activation the last hope for humanity. Alex's retreat and Elijah's desperate efforts mark a pivotal moment in the battle, setting the stage for the conflict's resolution. The control room trembled with each explosion that echoed through the base. The once orderly space was now a chaotic tangle of wires, flickering screens, and frantic technicians. Dr. Elijah Grant's face was a mask of strain as he wrestled with the malfunctioning anti-invasion device. Sparks flew intermittently, and the device's core emitted a low, unstable hum. "Hold on, Elijah!" Sarah Collins's voice, though strained, carried a note of fierce determination. She stood by Grant's side, her gaze fixed on the screen that showed the device's fluctuating energy levels. "We're almost there. Just keep it together for a few more minutes." Elijah's hands moved with a practiced urgency, adjusting settings and rerouting power as best he could. "If we don't get this stabilized soon, we're done for. I need—" A loud crash interrupted him. The base's walls groaned under the pressure of the ongoing assault, and debris rained down from the ceiling. The alien juggernaut outside continued its relentless bombardment, shaking the very foundations of the base. Sarah's eyes were fierce, her jaw set in grim determination. "We don't have minutes!" Sarah snapped, the stress evident in her voice. "We have seconds!" Meanwhile, Alex Hunter was dashing through the base's corridors, their combat gear battered but still functional. The once familiar hallways were now a labyrinth of devastation, each corner hiding potential threats. Alex's breaths came in sharp, controlled bursts, their mind racing as they approached the control room. The flickering emergency lights cast an eerie glow, painting long shadows on the walls. Alex skidded to a halt outside the control room, their heart pounding as they took in the scene before them. The room was a whirlwind of activity, the air thick with the acrid smell of burnt electronics and the metallic tang of fear. "Hunter!" Sarah's voice cut through the chaos as she spotted Alex. "We're on the brink. We need you to cover us while we get this device online. The Juggernaut's breach is causing critical damage." Alex nodded, their gaze hardening as they took up a defensive position just outside the control room's doorway. The sounds of battle were deafening, with alien weaponry firing in a relentless barrage. Alex's rifle roared in response, each shot carefully aimed to hold back the advancing alien forces. The Juggernaut's imposing silhouette was visible through the shattered windows, its weapons hammering against the base's weakened defenses. Alex's every shot was a desperate effort to buy more time, their movements precise and calculated. Inside the control room, Elijah was grappling with the device's core, his hands moving with a desperate urgency. "I'm almost there," he shouted over the din. "But I need a power surge. We're dangerously close to overload." Sarah's fingers flew over the controls, attempting to reroute additional power. "Do what you can, Grant! We need that surge now!" The room shook violently as another explosion rocked the base, and the control panels flickered ominously. Elijah's face was lined with sweat and determination as he wrestled with the device's stabilizer. The core's light pulsed erratically, casting eerie shadows on the walls. With a final, determined push, Elijah triggered the power surge. The device's core flared brightly, the pulsing light steadying into a consistent glow. A wave of energy surged through the base's defenses, a sudden, overwhelming force that pushed back the alien invaders. Outside, the Juggernaut staggered as the energy wave hit, its weapons falling silent. The alien forces faltered, disoriented by the sudden shift in power. Alex seized the moment, their rifle a blur of motion as they pressed the advantage. Sarah watched the energy wave's effects with a mix of relief and exhaustion. "We did it," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "The device is operational." The tide of battle began to shift as the alien forces, thrown into disarray, withdrew from the base. The immediate threat was quelled, but the damage had been significant. The base was still a wreckage of smoke and debris, and the fight was far from over. As Alex and Sarah stood amid the remnants of the battle, the control room's dim lights casting long shadows, they shared a moment of silent acknowledgement. The device had worked, but the cost was high. The battle was won, but the war was far from over. The chapter ends with the base secured, but the sense of impending danger remains. The characters' relief is tempered by the realization that while they have survived this conflict, the struggle for survival is ongoing. The base was eerily quiet in the aftermath of the battle. Smoke still curled from smoldering wreckage, and the emergency lights cast a dim, unsettling glow over the wreckage. Elijah Grant, Sarah Collins, and Alex Hunter stood amid the ruins, their expressions a mix of exhaustion and grim determination. The silence was punctuated only by the distant whir of damaged systems struggling to recover. Sarah surveyed the control room, now a labyrinth of broken consoles and twisted metal. "We've bought ourselves a brief respite," she said, her voice heavy with fatigue. "But it won't last long. The Juggernaut won't give up easily." Elijah wiped sweat from his brow, his face smeared with grime. "We need to analyze the data from the device," he said, glancing at the scattered pieces of his equipment. "It might hold the key to figuring out their next move." Alex nodded, their gaze scanning the perimeter. "I'll set up a perimeter defense," they said, pulling out their weapon. "If they try to break through again, we'll need to be ready." As Sarah and Elijah worked to restore the damaged systems, Alex took up a position by the main entrance. The air was thick with the acrid smell of burnt circuitry and ozone. Alex's senses were on high alert, every sound and movement amplified in the tense silence. The base's emergency systems flickered to life, casting erratic shadows on the walls. Sarah's fingers flew over the control panel, her focus intense. "If we can decipher their patterns, we might be able to predict their next assault," she said, her voice steady despite the stress. Elijah studied the readouts, his brow furrowed in concentration. "The device didn't just push them back," he said. "It might have disrupted their command signals." If we can trace that interference, we might gain an upper hand. The quiet was suddenly shattered by a blaring alarm. The base's communication system crackled to life, broadcasting a garbled transmission. Elijah's eyes widened as he deciphered the message. "They're regrouping," he said, urgency in his voice. "They're preparing for a final assault." Sarah's face hardened. "We need to fortify our position. If they're coming for a decisive strike, we can't afford any mistakes." Alex moved swiftly, setting up barricades and positioning defensive equipment with practiced efficiency. "We've got a few minutes before they hit us," they said. "Let's make them count." The tension in the control room was palpable as Sarah and Elijah worked feverishly. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the settings on a makeshift control panel, her focus unwavering. Elijah's eyes darted between screens, his mind racing to process the incoming data. Outside, the ground rumbled as the juggernaut and its forces closed in. Alex's senses were heightened, every sound magnified by the imminent threat. The base's defenses hummed ominously, a last line of protection against the overwhelming force. With a final burst of effort, Sarah completed the system modifications. "We've got a temporary boost," she said, her voice a mix of relief and resolve. "It might give us an edge." Elijah nodded, sweat mingling with soot on his face. "We've got to hold them off long enough to find a permanent solution. This is our last stand." The base's external sensors detected the incoming threat, the screen flashing with red alerts. Alex took a deep breath, their hands steady as they prepared for the onslaught. "Here they come," they said, their voice calm and resolute. The Juggernaut's forces breached the perimeter with a deafening roar. Alien weaponry blazed through the air, and the base shook under the assault. Alex's rifle spat fire in rapid succession, each shot meticulously aimed to hold back the advancing enemy. Inside, Sarah and Elijah worked to stabilize the remaining systems, their faces etched with determination. "We need to make this count," Elijah shouted over the din. "Our lives depend on it." The battle was fierce, the base's defenses straining under the relentless assault. Alex's position was a blur of action and precision, their every move a testament to their skill and resolve. The ground beneath them shook with each explosion, the air thick with smoke and debris. In a final, desperate push, Sarah and Elijah completed their last adjustments. The base's defenses flared with renewed energy, a surge of power pushing back the alien invaders. The Juggernaut staggered under the assault, its forces faltering. As the dust began to settle, the base's alarms fell silent. The immediate threat had been repelled, but the cost was evident. The control room was a wreckage of scorched metal and shattered glass. The trio stood amidst the ruins, their faces grim but resolute. Sarah, Elijah, and Alex shared a moment of weary relief, their victory hard-won but not without sacrifice. The base had survived the assault, but the war was far from over. The chapter closes with the characters standing in the aftermath, their resolve unwavering as they prepare for the challenges yet to come.